Welcome to All About Berea. We are here with Ronnie Terrill, who is one of the Democratic candidates for the Magistrate First
District.
It's not precinct, thank you, First District, which would be the Berea District. So Ronnie, we appreciate you coming out and
I appreciate y'all
chatting
having me.
with us. Let's see now, you'll be, right now, this is a big race. I think it's the biggest one in my memory as far as how many people are running.
There's 4 of us running for it.
Okay. Let's see, it's you and Brian. And
Bob McMahon.
Larry Combs and Bob McMahon.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm running,
yeah, that was going to be my first question, because you've been on city council now for a number of years. So why? What was the jump to the county?
I've always told Larry Combs that I would not run against him. And when he chose to run for the judge and executive, I said, I'm going to run for magistrate. So I've always wanted to do it. So
you've always had some interest in it?
I've always had some interest. Now, Beth, let me tell you a little history about me. I go back, I was actually on the first committee that done a cable franchise for the county. I was on planning and zoning as a county representative for 7 or 8 years in Berea. So I've always, and actually I was involved with redistricting 2010 on the committee. So
well,
I've
for a
always
number
been,
of years you weren't even in the city of Berea, right? Because I know Teresa talks about being annexed.
Right. Actually, I was out in the county, but whenever the city bought the utilities, they annexed 50-foot right-of-way across the front of 21 up there, up to the theater, Indian Fort Theater. Then went across and annexed the water treatment plant into the city.
Which is just beyond you.
Just beyond me, so I just brought all, that's exactly right. And I wanted to come in because it was a whole lot easier to do it here in Berea than it was to go to Richmond to do anything. So it was a choice. And actually, the other reason that I run was after Larry Combs tried to sell the city and the county property in Garrett County.
They're talking about the brush.
That's right, right.
Yeah.
Larry actually come out and didn't support me for city council because he got mad because the mayor told Larry that I was lobbying against buying it. Well, I wasn't lobbying against buying it. I said, you need to go look at it because if you looked at it, it was a no-brainer. So I said, well, I'm not backing out since Larry got back in. So.
Well, and just a piece of history, he was actually the only magistrate who ended up voting for that. If you remember, it was him and the judge. The judge made the motion, Larry seconded it, and then everyone else voted against it.
But I totally thought that was inappropriate for a magistrate to do that, especially with the experience he had. And he's been a good magistrate. But the last year, he's done a few things that I question. That it needs to change. I'm running. It's time for a change. Is my campaign.
So, Brian, I think it's 1 Republican and 3.
No, 1 Republican and 4 Democrats.
And 4 Democrats. Okay.
So
was it disconcerting when you found out how many people were actually going to run, or was it like, well, okay, let's do it?
No, I really. Now, somebody told me, he said, well, it's going to cost you $30,000 to run. Well, I'll tell you right now, I allotted $3,000 of my money to spend. I'm not soliciting money because I do my own thing. I mean, I don't want to be obligated to anybody. I do what I think's right, and so I have done that.
Well,
and I think people know my name by being on city council. And well, you're right about me and the citizen there once in a while.
So even you get your picture in the cartoon.
That's right. That's exactly right. But that's fair. I mean, one thing, I don't get mad. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Well, we agree or disagree. So, and if you don't speak, you don't know.
That's right.
So that's, and I'm noted for asking questions.
Well, and one thing I was impressed by, because I was checking out at the last city council election through how much people had spent on all their elections, and these were very low amounts. I mean, almost always 3,000 or below. And just as a Berean, that made me really proud, like, for our city, that it's like, yeah, our city council members aren't there just pouring a ton of money to their campaign.
Well,
and I liked that.
It is, but let me tell you about running for city council.
Okay.
If I can't win the primary, I'm going to run for city council. I still got all my old signs. I learned the first time I run, don't put a date on it. I mean, because you can reuse your signs.
Now, don't be like Lonnie, though, who was using signs from 20 years ago.
I know,
Back when he had
I know.
twice as much hair. Right, so that's all ready to go.
That's all ready to go. I mean,
Mhm.
but I'd like to win it. I really would, because I think I can make a difference in the county. And some of the things that I want to talk about when I get out there.
Yeah, tell me what county concerns you're interested in.
Number one, I mean, 911. I want to talk about it, funding for 911. That's coming up, and hopefully the Frankfurt will come out with something that will help us, because today it's by landlines, and as you know, landlines are decreasing every month.
I think I've heard in numbers it's like less than half of what they used to collect. Yeah, I know some cell phones will collect it, but then there's the whole thing, cell phones from out of state don't necessarily go to the in-state, so it's all very complicated.
And actually, we've had some problems with 911 on whenever they're taking calls over there about asking so many questions when you need somebody now. I mean, I want to look at the process. Well, I've heard that out from the people. That's right. So I think it's a good thing for the county and all three governments. But we've got to do it. The other thing I want to think about is the expansion of the jail. Now, they talked about putting a 100-bed unit in over there. Well, I think that's nothing but a Band-Aid. Now, here's what I think we need to do. I think the county owns some property out at Terrill, out there, the triangle, that maybe we should build a new jail out there for 500 or 600 inmates, and actually try to rent the old jail as a juvenile detention for the state, and they run that, and maybe we get enough money off of that to pay for the new jail. So, I mean, that 100, the judge.
Who would they rent who handles the juveniles?
The state.
You rent to the state.
Right. So I think that's possible. So I really think that's worth looking into.
Yeah, and I know with CSEP too, you've been a part of that in the city council discussion about when that money leaves.
Oh yeah,
and how
what are we
going to
do?
leave the county, right?
And actually,
that's funding so much right now.
That is, and what can we afford? I tell you what, it seems like everything's going up, but our salary and wages and all that. We've got to find common ground for people on fixed income and stuff. That's another thing for the future. We've got to look about when that nerve gas is gone. We need to try to retain those employees, because they're high-paid employees and stuff. And we are looking at it. I mean, there are committees that are working on that, and we need to make sure that we've got something planned for that instead of waiting until everybody's leaving and we've got big old buildings and stuff sitting out there. And one thing interested me, that whenever I took a tour out there, they was telling me the road going in there would hold a jet for an airport. They could actually make a landing there if they had to. The military could. The question there is, could we, when that goes out, could we move the airport out where it's more convenient to get to?
You're talking about moving the airport to where the depot is.
Yeah.
Now.
I mean, because what are we going? I mean, that's
a radical notion.
Well, I know, but that's a possibility. I mean, from the standpoint, and we might get some federal money from Lexington for an offsite for emergency for Lexington. I mean, from the standpoint, if it's there, it's already, the runway's there. So I mean, I don't know. It's worth looking into. So.
Okay, so let's see, the primary, what's the exact date of that?
May the 20th.
May the 20th. And I know we'd mentioned before we started interviewing that you're concerned about people just getting out for the primary. Because, yeah, I mean, voter turnout tends to be a whole lot lower on that. And,
it is.
And you don't want that. You don't want to have a good portion of the people represented there.
I want the people to get out and vote, regardless whether they vote for me or whoever. Because this is the only time that they can make a difference in their body, elected body, is if they vote. Now, if they don't vote, then they shouldn't be criticizing what's going on with people in office. And
one of our favorite pastimes.
Well, that's true. That is true. But you need to vote, and this 20% elected all the people. That just burns me up. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever missed voting. I mean,
Kenny Barger was talking to me about that. He said if we actually were not such a low turnout area, he would actually be in trouble with his voting equipment. He couldn't handle much more, like if we actually did increase it to where some other areas were, so.
and I do encourage everybody that's going to be listening to this to encourage everybody to get out and vote. And actually take your kids and get them used to going to the polling place on election days. I mean, because that's where it starts. So.
Okay, well, I appreciate you coming in, Ronnie,
appreciate you having me.
Talking about your candidacy, and I agree, please, everyone needs to vote on the primary. You're actually having quite a few choices this time for things that would affect Berea directly. Magistrate, District 1, you've got the Judge Executive, the Sheriff is a contended race, the Jailer is a contended race. I think everything but 4, only 4 of the county offices are contended. So it's going to be a big county year.
It is. It really is. You're going to see a lot of signs.
Yeah. Get ready. But only 30 days before. Right? Is that what you guys are tied to? 30 days, right?
That's right. And actually, I'll tell you what I did. I bought 50 signs, 4x4s. That's all I'm going to put up. Because I really felt like being on Berea City Council, everybody knows my name. I was raised up in this, and I'm cheap.
Glad to hear it. I like people who don't put all their money in their campaign. All right, well, thank you again, Ronnie.
Thanks
and
for having
we'll see you next time on All About Berea.